Awoo! You're listening to America's most lupine podcast, The Pod People. I am Jean Rambert.
I'm Ben Sheets, and this white boy's got hands.
Hi, I'm Cleveland Mosier. My mouth is alive, with juices like wine, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
Yes, we all have a wolf-like appetite this evening, an appetite to discuss a film.
Yes,
My
sir.
pick this week, yes. I'm very excited to talk about this one with you guys. The first time I saw this movie, probably 2 years ago now or so. I was like, this is a podcast movie, but I have to bide my time and wait for the right moment because it is long. It is asking a lot, but I don't know. I think it's a very special film, one that is sort of unlike any other movie that I've ever seen, and yeah, I think it is well suited for this podcast. The film that I am talking about, of course, is 2001's Brotherhood of the Wolf, directed by Christoph Ganz, who also did the Silent Hill movie, which we have discussed on the podcast.
Yes,
he did this a few years before. But yes, this is a French language historical fiction, action, horror, romance,
martial arts,
extravaganza.
Yeah, I mean, if you like genre movies, this basically throws everything into a big stew and lets you have a little taste of all these different things.
You guys ever listen to world music?
Not regularly.
Sure, yeah.
But you're familiar with world music, right?
Yes.
This is world music, the movie. And you know what? I say that with love. I had an amazing time watching this film.
I'm so glad you did. I really had you in mind when I picked this one because I figured that this would very much be your jam.
It's Cleve Core as fuck, dude. Holy shit. Yeah,
but it's also T-score. I liked this movie even more on rewatch than I did the first time, especially because I kind of knew what to expect going in, so I was able to appreciate some more of the nuances of the film.
I gotta say, it won me over hard by the end. At first, I was not really on board. I've come to realize that period dramas are not usually my cup of tea. However, once all of the other genre stuff started adding into the mix, I was more and more intrigued. And then by the end, I was totally won over.
For me, it's probably the other way around. At the beginning of the film, I was having an amazing time, and I was like, "This is art, this is cinema." And then by the end, I'm like, "This is dumb movies." And I love it still. I guess the key difference is I loved both aspects of this film, but I definitely agree with the shift.
I think that it is slow to get going, and the slowness at the beginning, depending on your penchant for period dramas, may or may not be your thing. I enjoyed it as well, but yeah, I mean the movie is the extended version that we watched is right around 2.5 hours. So you're signing up for a sit, but I do think that it rewards your patience because by the end of the movie, it has become something that there is absolutely no way that you could have predicted that it would become going into it. And that's ultimately why I love it. You know, when I sort of primed everybody for this at the end of last week's episode, I related it to, some of my other picks, something like Daybreakers, where it's messy and weird and confusing and not everything necessarily works, but there's enough interesting ideas that it is, I find it kind of fascinating. I do think this is a better film than Daybreakers, so it's maybe unfair to put them exactly in the same camp, but part of the reason I love this movie so much is because of how strange and fascinating it is.
Yeah, I'm glad I was primed that way. I went in, I told a few friends that I was going to watch it, and they all said something along those lines. It's schlocky, it's a goofy movie, but I love it. You know, campy, etc. And also knowing the director, I had that also primed me in a lot of ways. Yeah. So I went into this movie expecting it to be a mess. I did, but I was hoping that there would be some dope practicals, at least, because like again, if you can say anything for that Silent Hill movie, it's that at least it's got some neat visuals in it. That's all I really was, hoping to get out of the experience, and I feel just deeply rewarded for that. Like, I'm just so happy. I don't know, but halfway through that movie, I had this thought to myself, and that's, often I'm really excited to get a movie. For me, I had a really good time coming out of The Lighthouse and being like, yeah, I really got what that was about, and I felt good about my read on the film. And about the way I interpreted it, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel academic enough about this. That's really nice. It's a good feeling. I get this movie. This movie gets me. Like this movie understood, like, on a deep level, what I really wanted in a movie. Like, putting, like, all of the cleverness aside and anything academic or like high art or fine art. This is what I actually wanted. And it's like, again, to use a shitty food metaphor, and then I'll shut up for a moment. It's like, you go and you want the fine dining experience, and you tell yourself that you're a classy person. You tell yourself that you want all of the best things in life, and it has to be the market price, blah, blah, blah on the menu, and that's what you really deserve. But at the end of the day, man, like, just a beautiful, like, Dagwood-esque sandwich, or just, like, every once in a while, all I want is, like, a chili dog. Right? Like, sometimes I just want, like, some goofy shit.
I'll play along with you with your food metaphor, and I'll say that, like, as a food metaphor, I think what I would compare this to is like a fucking, like, mukbang. Like, where it's just like a huge excessive plate or bowl or whatever of incredibly rich, fatty, delicious food that you're just like cramming into your mouth forever, and then you're gonna need to like go like immediately fall asleep. Purge. Well, yeah, like go immediately fall asleep and then wake up in the middle of the night to take the most evil shit you've ever taken in your life. Like
it's Baroque. It's excess.
Yes,
it is true. By the end of this movie, I did kind of feel myself like pushing back from the table and being like, I couldn't possibly have another bite. Like, thank you.
and yet they'll keep putting a new morsel on your plate. You're like, well, I mean, if you're putting it in front of me, I mean, don't mind if I do. I guess
shoot guns crossing your arms. I mean, I'm not gonna say no to it.
A wafer thin mint. Yeah, it really just has me feeling like Mr. Creosote, like I'm gonna like explode. Like, this movie just fed so much to me. And I loved every bite. Don't get me wrong. But Jesus Christ, it's just so much. And so first off, I'm really curious, because I didn't have a chance to look up the data on this film. I waited the last minute, and then I had to do a bunch of stuff to get the movie to play properly. Did this do well? Because I feel like this movie's demographic, like its core demographic, the people who would really love this movie would also not want to read subtitles.
No, this movie actually did quite well. I looked up some stats on it. Considering some of these numbers, like, I'm honestly kind of surprised that this isn't a more talked about movie. Like, it definitely has a cult classic status, but the budget of this film was about $30 million in 2001, which is a substantial budget. And its worldwide gross ended up being almost $71 million. So it more than doubled its budget. And almost $12 million of that budget is from US and Canada.
Now, I have a genuine question about that, right?
Yeah.
When this movie is available on a lot of different streaming platforms currently, right? Tubi, Amazon Prime, Plex. They're all the dubbed version. In its original theatrical run, did it play the English dub for US?
I don't know the answer to that. I did not see any information about that. It's possible. We did not watch the English dub. I can't speak to the quality of it. I pretty much never want to watch a dub that actually has an original language track. But yeah, I'm not sure, but it did do very well in the United States and Canada. It's the 6th highest grossing French language film in the United States. Still to this day. So yeah, it actually was quite successful. And surprisingly only Ganz's second film. He did one before this, which I think we're watching for movie night next week, Ben, Crying Freeman, the manga adaptation. And yeah, and then he got just a shitload of fucking money to do this movie. But yeah, it is weird that like all of the streaming services that it's on right now are all the dubbed version. When I saw it a couple of years ago, I saw it on Shudder, and it was in French. It was not English dubbed. So yeah, I don't know about that. That's actually a good question.
I think the dub would still win people over, right? Especially like U.S. audiences, especially with how schlocky it gets. So I'd be very curious about that. I'll see if I can find some info.
And you know, I think that there was definitely a certain amount of goodwill around this time towards like foreign language films in this country. Like I think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was the same year maybe or the year before.
Yeah, I mean this was the era of like Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and Shaolin Soccer. Yeah, well, I mean, you see some of the Hong Kong influence in this movie for sure.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
With the fight scenes.
Yeah,
it rules.
We'll get in. Yeah, we'll get into that. We should probably start talking a little bit about what the movie is and the plot.
What is this film? Yeah, let's. Oh yeah, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be in plot land for a minute, but I think it's gonna be fun.
This is a true historical fiction because it is set in against the backdrop of some historical events with a bunch of characters who are real historical figures. But it's set in the mid 18th century in France, and there is a monster haunting the countryside in the province of Gévaudan. And a nobleman, a knight, is sent from Paris by King Louis XV to hunt down and dispatch this beast. And, you know, there's some historical precedent for this. Like, the Beast of Gévaudan is like a famous classic werewolf story. There was like some animal that was killing like a bunch of people in the countryside over the course of several years, and they're pretty sure these days that it was just a big wolf. But there were lots of it became but it became like a folk story. You know, like everybody who saw it described it as like, oh, it's not a wolf, like it has cloven hooves, or it's, you know, a weird color or something, like it's more than a wolf. So that's sort of like the setting of this film, is following our protagonist, the Chevalier de Fronzac, and his Native American friend Mani, going out and looking for this monster and sort of like becoming involved with all of the local nobility and getting tied up. And Fronzac falls in love with a young noblewoman, and that becomes a whole thing. And then there's a bunch of kung fu fighting for some reason. But I don't have like the greatest depth of knowledge of French history, but like apparently pretty much all of like the major named characters in this movie outside of Mani, Mark Dacascos' character, were all real historical figures, including the protagonist. That's cool, I guess, if you know French history. I don't, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sure that would hit different in France, right? When you have that context.
Yeah, it's almost like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen situation. Like famous people, like, like there's a supernatural bent. Wait,
Yeah.
no, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is exclusively fictional characters.
I was gonna
Never
say
mind.
those
Not
are all
at all.
Yeah, those real characters like
My
Captain
dumbass.
Nemo.
Yeah.
and Dorian Gray, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Hyde.
And my favorite fictional character, Sean Connery. So this is, like a historical, a period piece, and I mean, I think that the budget really shows. Like, they go all out in terms of costumes and sets, and they were, shooting in some real castles and manors, but that's just the benefit of being able to, shoot stuff in Europe, where all of those things are still standing. But as I also mentioned at the end of last week's episode, and I think you see this very early on in the movie, but Hidetaka Miyazaki, the creative director of all the FromSoft games, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, everything, says that the aesthetic of Bloodborne is very heavily inspired by this film, and you can see that.
I'd heard that going in. I figured calling it Bloodborne the movie was a bit of a joke. Nah, man, it's like everything in this film.
Yeah, it's absolutely
crazy.
The closest thing we have to a Bloodborne movie.
Well, and everything in this movie that isn't in Bloodborne is an analog for something else that's been put into a FromSoft title that Miyazaki's directed. I don't want to spoil it too much, but like The Beast is itself, like you could find a pretty close analog to it in Redmane Castle, in Elden Ring. There's a lot of other like small comparisons there, and like I don't know, I thought this movie was gonna have some tricorns in it, and that'd be why. Oh, another great example is like the high collared, like super cool like cloaks that go up around their faces. Like that's the aesthetically they pulled those same designs for the what are they called in Dark Souls 3? In Fair and Keep, the Brotherhood.
Oh, the Abyss Watchers.
Yeah, the Abyss Watchers, who were literally a Brotherhood of the Wolf. It's just like so much from those games I'm now like realizing were sort of contextualized from this film. There's many aesthetics, like Monica Bellucci, like when she visits our protagonist in the prison, like she's essentially dressed as Lady Maria. Like it's wild. Like I was just constantly like pointing at the screen and doing the bit. And yeah, I think if you're like a FromSoft fan and you're a fan of those games and curious about the source material for them, like I think it's essential. I think it's a really a necessary watch. And I'm glad, because I love finding the source for things. And this film is equal parts sourcing a lot of great art. There's a few shots in there that look right out of a Maxfield Parrish painting. There's a woman we find, or our protagonist find, that was slain by the beast, that looks that is like very, very delicately trying to match like the drowned Ophelia painting. There's a lot of like references to classical art in this film also that I was just drinking up, dude. Like, holy shit. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's very atmospheric, and I think that's like the sort of connective tissue between like Christoph Ganz's stuff. It's like the problems with the Silent Hill movie largely lie in the script. And like I think that, like you said yourself, Cleve, that what that first Silent Hill movie does capture really well is a sense of atmosphere. And I think you see a lot of that in this movie as well. Some of it is definitely kind of dated a little bit, like kind of stuff that's like very of the late 90s and early 2000s. A lot of the like slow motion, and there's like some speed ramping and stuff. But I don't know, I like, honestly, for me, I think that stuff like works for this movie. Yeah. And like just how often it's like it's sort of dipping into slow motion, like it almost develops like a kind of like dreamlike quality that I really like, which I don't think does much to help the slow accusations in the first half of the movie. It is very kind of like dreamy and sleepy.
You might even say a hunter's dream like state.
You might say such.
Yeah, well, and again too, I think that it is all done with very clear intent. Like the dreamlike state further mythologizes the film, and the film is about hidden mythologies and secrets. The guy narrating the story, like he's mythologizing, and like it's a remembrance, it's a dream of history, and it's not trying to be like period, you know. It's trying to tell like a mythic story. And also, again, the way that the beast haunts the land, and how the beast story is manipulated in the narrative is also part of that. Like, we use myth to manipulate history. That's literally what the villains are doing in this film. So I love it. I love it from top to bottom for that. Like, this movie does have capital T themes. And while I'm just absolutely glazing Christoph Ganz, like, my man has an eye for aesthetics, as we're talking about, and also he has an eye for aesthetics. Like, holy shit, the amount of like ripped, muscly dudes and like voluptuous like ladies is awesome. Like, this movie is just so burgeoning with sexuality, and I it's so French, and
you
like,
can
in
tell
all
a
the
French
best
dude
ways.
directed it.
Yeah. My man is a pervert, and he gets me. Like, and I know where you're going.
One of my favorite moments in the movie, and honestly, it's one of my favorite transitions in any movie ever.
Yes.
This is a part after the protagonist slept with Monica Bellucci the first time, and they're asleep in the bed, and the camera sort of like pans up her nude body, and as it pans up to her tits, it does a fade transition where it matches her tits with a mountain range as it's flying over a snowy mountain, and it's so fucking funny, but also like
incredible.
It also kind of works, like,
No,
unironically.
Like, it is equal parts insane, hilarious, and a gorgeous shot. Like,
yeah,
my man was cooking. Like, holy shit. I'm like almost like moved to tears, like from the comedy of it, but like, because it's so funny, dude. Like, I'm dying over this shit.
Whether you like the meal that he's presenting you or not, Christoph Ganz was cooking in this movie unlike anybody has ever cooked before.
You cannot call him a coward. Like, no one can ever call Christoph Ganz a coward. My man is so confident. And I think it takes like just an unworldly amount of confidence to put a shot like that in your movie, and to execute it like that carefully too. Like, no, only respect for the man.
Well, I think the movie isn't afraid to be seen as a little silly with some of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I think some people would argue that it feels like a lack of self-awareness, but I think it's the opposite. I think it's aware of the silliness and the goofiness of that, and despite that, it's putting it in, which I respect
so much.
I mean, I think there is, to sort of bring it back to the conversation we were having on last week's episode, I think there is a ton of rule of cool in this movie. But unlike Ash that we were talking about, where it was it was nothing but rule of cool, like, there is a lot of intent here, but I really respect his, like you were saying, confidence to make decisions just because it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, well, let's talk about this, because this was like a Mandela effect thing for me. So our protagonist's friend, his companion, Mani, the Native American, played by Mark Dacascos, famous martial artist and stuntman Mark Dacascos.
Host of Iron Chef America.
Is it really?
Yeah. Right there.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay, well, yeah, I see it behind you. I didn't know what that was from.
My man's a legend. Yeah.
No, he's great. I love him in John Wick 3 too. He's fantastic in this. He learned French for this movie. He did not speak French prior to making this film.
Hell yeah.
Which fucking swag. But yeah, so his character inexplicably knows martial arts. And there are multiple there are at least, unless I'm losing count, there are 3 big scenes in this movie where he single-handedly faces off against a large group of antagonists,
and it's almost always a circle of antagonists where they go in one at a time, or maybe 2 at a time.
Yeah,
he takes them down.
Yeah, and he just absolutely whips their ass. And I could have sworn the first time I watched this movie, I could have sworn that there was a scene at some point where they explained that the reason that Mani knows martial arts is because he had traveled to China and studied with a martial artist there. And that is not in the movie. I have no idea where I took from, but I was certain going into this viewing that that was the case. I think it was just my brain trying to invent a reason for this character knowing for the reason that this character knows like kung fu, because it absolutely does not make any sense otherwise. But again, rule of cool, it's fucking awesome.
It's undeniably sick. And like I think what I found really fascinating about Mani's character and his it's less of an arc and more of just like a drip of exposition. But for that series of revelations with Mani, the film begins by mystifying him, and by the end demystifies him. Not exclusively, they kind of then remystify him a little bit at the end. But like it is like one of the weirdest iterations of the like magical Native American trope I've ever seen in a movie. It's a struggle to talk about, and I'm not like a leading expert on that, so I'm not going to. Other than all I know is what I saw, which was dope. Like it was just so cool. And it's undeniable. But like again, like it's one of those weird things where like it definitely does like get a little bit like kind of funky. Like in terms of like the mystifying, there's like a whole scene where they discuss like they do the whole like noble savage thing. It's strange. It's a weird one. So like
it's like I will note that like Mark Dacascos is not Native American either.
Yeah,
like he's like Hawaiian and Japanese, I think. So like it's a little bit. But I mean, honestly, who cares? I think he's great. I think it's a very fun character, and
they do darken up his skin a bit in the film.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, he's pretty tan.
Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at like I'd be curious to hear more learned people express their views on this film. Maybe I'll read a little more about it, but like in the moment, it's not my witch hunt to go on. Especially in a film about hunting, you know, like about going mad on the hunt. I think that's a fitting metaphor. So
I mean, all I'll say is like this movie again came out in 2001. If this came out in 2025, they'd have an actual Native American play him most likely. But we got to understand the times this came out in. Like that was more of a thing, right? So
yeah, I mean, generally,
absolutely.
like, it's the kind of thing that like I would forgive it for having, but again, I don't know if I even need to, so I'm not going to worry about it in this moment. I'm just going to keep, you know, knowing what I do know, and it was very fun to watch.
Honestly, he was my favorite character in the movie, I think.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Which is why like I don't want to focus too much on like moralizing, right? Like,
yeah.
Beyond just pointing out what I can see with my
eyes. I mean, their introduction, him and Franzak, their introduction at the beginning of this film is just like the fucking coolest way you can introduce a pair of characters. It's like they're riding through the countryside. It's heavily raining. They're like fully like old hunter, bloodborne, swagged out. They got their tricorn hats and their high collars that go up above their noses. And they're riding through the rain, and they see a group of robbers or highwaymen or something chasing an old man and a younger woman, like, attacking them. And so they stop, and just one of these figures hops down from his horse, and you can't see his face, but he takes a long stick and then just proceeds to, in the rain, in slow motion, just absolutely whip the piss out of all of these dudes. Just like fucking like doing shit like planting the staff and like spinning around it and like kicking them and stuff like that. Like, it's so fucking cool. And it's before either of these characters have said a single word. It's like, this is your first introduction to them, and it's like, okay, I'm so fucking excited for where this is going.
Like, yeah, like an ideal, example of showing and not telling. Like, just put me in the scene, let me enjoy this moment before explaining any of it to me. And they continue to do that, especially with Monty's character. Like, they do not care to explain to you for a good while, like probably 45 minutes into this film, like who he is, where he's from, or anything else like that. He's just cool and he's present. And I really appreciate that they bide their time with a lot of stuff in this movie. In some cases, too much time biding. But yeah, with him, I really like how they held their cards to their chest and just showed with action. And yeah, that scene is sick. I love how it looks like fighting in the rain in the French countryside with the cool tricorn hats, like with martial arts. It's just such a phenomenal aesthetic, and it had to be expensive to shoot, right? This is period clothing. It's all very carefully made, and it's just getting muddied up and covered in rain. And like, you know, they have to make all these materials like very specifically to last through that sort of thing. Like that's expensive. Again, we have to remember that in the Witch, right, in Eggers' The Witch film, like that opening sequence where we see anything more than the family for the rest of the movie, like they could only afford to shoot in period because they didn't shoot their feet. So like everyone in that opening sequence in The Witch is wearing like non-period clothes from the shins down because they couldn't afford to make all of that for that movie. Like that's how careful they had to be with their budget. Like period's fucking expensive. So when I see shit like this, I just get so goddamn excited. Like it's just so joyful. And like what's so cool about it is like I couldn't tell if I'm almost certain like they were using like a rain machine for that scene.
1,000%.
Like
1,000%.
But the way like they were still able to get like long range like shots with like a lot of range in the background, but it was over those like misty moors, so like with the rain in the foreground but like the clear shots of like the fog in the distance, it looks so fucking crisp and just delicious, man. Like I just eat up like every frame of this movie, man. Like it looks honestly gorgeous, like really really beautiful. I'm so glad I got to watch it on like the new like high res cut with the print scans too.
Oh yeah, that was nice. I did not watch that version last time. They did just recently do a new scan of the original reels, which looks great.
One note on that, which I thought was kind of funny, is like at the beginning they have a title card that talks about that a little bit, and it also says they've updated some of the graphics of like the CG. Which is funny because it's still the CG stuff still looks kind of bad.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think I have some guesses on this, but I got to start from the top. So I read an article about like what they did for the re-release of this movie, and if I'm remembering correctly, essentially most 4K upscales, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One, the worst way possible, and that's use AI to upscale. That always results in really dog shit imagery and weird hallucinations as soon as you look a little bit closer at it, and like it's a mess, reprehensible. Don't do it. Then there's the other way, which is 4K print scans, right, where you take like the print scan, the work scan of the or the work print of the film, and you scan it and you get it in high resolution. Beautiful, love that. You still get all the delicious grain. It hasn't been like artificially cleared out in a really nasty way, and everything else, like it feels really good. And they took it a step beyond that even. They didn't scan the print. They scanned the reels and recut the movie entirely to make this re-release happen. And then on top of that, because they're not going from the print, they're going for the reels, they have to recolor correct the entire film. So they used modern tools to recolor correct it, bringing on the original color correctors to guide the process and to explain what they would have done if they'd had the better digital tools at hand. So to me, that's the best reimagining you could have, right? Like so many of the original people were consulted on it. They were just using the tools that they would have used at the time to get the best image that they had made with the tools that they did have. Then I love it. I think it's really cool. So now this is where the guesswork begins, to respond to your question, Ben. That would mean that they would probably have to then also add the CG back in. So what I'm thinking is that they took stuff from the print and they also then worked that in over it. But my guess is that there was, like, again, some enhancement there. Maybe, like, I don't think that they, for instance, like the beast itself is largely done with CG. I think what really helps it in that scene is they probably reduced some of the smoothing on it, or they smoothed it more in certain places, or just like adjusted the grain over the top of it to match the film a little bit better. That's often the case in like those 2000s era movies where like the creatures don't have the same grain on them that the rest of the film does. This one did. I don't know if that's the case or not, but also like the color correction is quite good. So like even if the rendering on the beast isn't hard realism in these scenes, I do think it still looks like it belongs in those environments well enough for me to still feel like pretty good about it. Also considering the subject matter, like it didn't bother me all that much. I think it was like part of
the problem with CG of that era is always, to me, the lighting, where the lighting doesn't quite match the lighting sources, where you can really tell that it's been placed in the scene. And I think some of that is still there here, to be frank.
Oh, for sure.
But it is what it is at the end of the day.
I will say, yeah, I don't think the CG in this movie looks great, obviously. But the version that I did see before on Shudder that was not the 4K re-release, like it did look a little bit worse. Like this, okay. I did think that when I watched it this time that it was noticeably better. I mean, they obviously didn't like redo any of the 3D modeling or texture or anything, but I do think that they made some effort to try to make the lighting match a little bit better. And yeah, I mean it's early 2000 CG. I'm glad there's not like too much of it in this movie, because it is kind of jarring when it happens. Just like limited to the beast.
Yeah. Well, and I do have to say, I do respect all of that reel cutting work. You know, it's rare that you get something like that. I think the latest example is Vinegar Syndrome re-released Norm Macdonald's movie Dirty Work, and they released a new cut called the Dirtier Cut, because originally it was shot to be rated R, but it had to be cut down to PG-13. So they went into the original reels that were shot and, you know, cut all the jokes back into it, essentially. And yeah, you don't get that very often, right? Like, it's rare to get that above and beyond sort of love.
Yeah. And I think this is the type of movie that deserves it too. Like it's enough of a weird little curiosity that like I appreciate that even 25 years later it is getting that appreciation. While we're talking about the effects though, I will say that, like, yeah, the CG looks pretty bad, but they do have a lot of puppet stuff with the beast close up, and I did see that well, yeah, I mean it's the Henson studio, so like it's always gonna be good, and I think that stuff holds up very well, and goes a little ways to make up for some of the dodgy CG, I think.
Well, you know, like when it comes to CG like being applied in this way in a film, I don't really have too many problems with it, if any, because when possible they used puppetry to express what they wanted to do for their story, and where that wasn't feasible they used CG. And you know, often CG can be used to replace puppetry work or practical work, because in the film industry, like for a long period of time, much of like CG work wasn't unionized, whereas most practical work was. So like it can be a studio attempt to replace what could have been like tangible work. Here, I don't think that was the case at all. I think y'all would agree. Like in this case, it is with an artistic intent that it is brought into the film. Does it look like realism in the scene? No, it doesn't. Like, you know, again, they were working with the tools they had at the time. But I feel if it had been done with puppetry, like those same sequences exclusively, a significant amount of like the power that we feel in the Beast would have been lost, right? Like to get the sense of, or they would have had to have like exercised animal cruelty, right? Like to like display the Beast being as powerful it is, and like shattering furniture and moving like a leopard almost, like so quickly, to not get into the plot details just yet, but like to show it like it's like all of its agility and strength and power. I think that like doing a CG render was like the only way to do that at the time. And they didn't let like the tools of the time limit their vision. And in addition to, like, the film does not have the tone of hard realism. The film has the tone of a cartoon. So cartoon CG stuff in it, like, I think is completely fine. So I never felt like it was like I was taken out of the movie for that. I actually felt like it matched the intent really well. And like, no, it doesn't look like realism, but I also just thought the design was wild, like very creative.
Yeah, they do get a little wacky with it too. There's that.
Yeah, they do.
It's a sort of dream sequence where everything is like pushed and sparkly. You remember that? It's hard to describe, but
oh yeah, where the little girl who survives one of the beast attacks, like Mani gives her,
I love that.
like he gives her some like magical Native American cure that brings her back from the brink of death, and so she has like that flashback memory. And yeah, it's strange. It's like they try to make it seem sort of like weird and dreamlike, but they do that by like jacking up the exposure on it a ton, so like it's kind of obscured by how like bright it is, and they put like this weird like shimmering kind of effect on it. It's a decision. I wouldn't say it looks good, but it is a strong creative. It's a strong creative decision.
I thought it looked fun.
It's very of the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, maybe I've had enough time or experience. I don't know the right way to phrase it, but like I rejected this era's aesthetics for so long now that I'm starting to come back around on it. Like I think I'm able to like just appreciate it as something of that time, as opposed to like, sorry, I'm having trouble finding the words for this, but like the time capsule element is a fondness to me now.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, obviously not all films are made equal, right? And I do think that, especially for the time, this is like an exceptionally good-looking film.
Yeah.
The dodgy CG aside, and again, like, you have to consider that like on the screens that people would have been watching this on release in 2001, that CG probably did not look as bad. And it was probably, I think it was probably considered pretty good for the time. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's fucking gorgeous. Like the cinematography in this is fantastic. Like, and just all the production design and everything. And you've talked about the costumes and stuff a ton. Like, it's wild how many like costumes there are for every character. The story spans a long period of time, a period of several months, right? So we're seeing all of these characters like through the turning of the season stuff too, and it's just like I'm just like blown away by some of the fucking like goofy couture ass outfits they have. Like everything Vincent Cassel is wearing in this movie is just insane. I think he has just like the most fucking incredible costumes, and they're all just like so villainous. Like, if you don't know that he's like one of the villains from the get-go, then like you're not reading the signs that the movie is leaving you. There are a couple of outfits in particular, like especially towards the end, where again, to take it back to the Bloodborne comparison, like he has a couple of outfits that look like that remind me a lot of the Bloody Crow of Canehurst, like the kind of like very like tight, like buttoned up coats with like the capes hanging over the shoulders. He's missing, or at least as we think for most of the movie, he's missing an arm. so that he sort of always has like a cloak thrown over like one side to like hide his disfigurement.
And his other hand has that like evil ring with a little red sapphire or whatever the fuck it is, like in there. Like I love those close up shots of it too. Like it's the most like fucking evil Viscount shit. Like even though we're in France, like I love his evil red ring. And like all of his matching outfits. A lot of red and black off of him. And of course, also he's always like leching after his sister too. Like he's just like the most like nasty evil guy. It's excellent. And of course played by as you just mentioned Vincent Cassel, podcast favorite from the Shrouds recently.
Love him.
Kicking ass. Yeah, I really think do more films with him in them. Like he's such an amazing actor.
Yeah, I mean I would recommend La Haine, his debut. Fantastic French movie. Yeah, he's great in everything. He's really fun in Black Swan. Of course, he's great in this movie as always.
And lest we forget, he's the breakdancing cat burglar in Ocean's 12.
Of course, his greatest role of all.
Yeah, the famous scene where he breakdances through all of the lasers.
I watched that scene like 2 weeks ago. I watched it very recently. It's just, oh man, you're talking about time capsules. Holy shit.
It's very goofy.
I would argue that's the only good scene in Ocean's 12.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
It's fun. It's schlock.
It's the worst of the three, for sure.
Yeah, Ocean's 12 is the worst one, for sure. I don't think any of them are great, but that one is the worst. But yeah, Vincent Cassel is great in this. Apparently, when they originally approached him, he wasn't as interested until he got a new version of the script and they made his character way more of a creepy perv, and he said, "Ho ho ho!
Hey,
now I am interested."
Delightfully French. Love that.
Yeah.
What a great cast. I really like how everyone is used. Also, Emilie Dequesne, is that, if I'm pronouncing that right, is Marianne. I love her costuming too. Whenever she's out riding and she's got like the high neck with the tricorn, like that, it all just looks incredible. Oh, and on that note, I kept thinking throughout this movie, damn, I want to draw like every one of these characters. You know, I do a lot of portraits, I do a lot of character designs, especially like fantasy character designs. So I'm just constantly thinking like, I want to draw that, and then I get to have a protagonist who is, and they have all these great illustrations throughout this. Again, like they made this movie speak to me so fucking personally. Like, how can I hate it? And so as De Fronsac is like always sketching, and they're these beautiful like Renoir like style, like charcoal or silver point on tone paper with white chalk. And they look so fucking like classically pretty. Like whoever like did the illustrations for this movie, and of which there are a bunch, like whoever did it nailed them. Like they're really like truly beautiful pieces of art. This whole film too is just like constantly featuring like the Jacques-Louis David paintings in the background and like other like works of art like in all of these palaces, and they're almost always like really fitting in the scene. And they work so well to kind of like historically loom over these characters. The most recent like example of a film that has so many like cool like illustrations and sketches in the movie is probably like what's that one alien movie with Evil David? Covenant. Yeah, like Alien Covenant has a lot of that too, where there's like it's just you know like littered with all those like gorgeous sketches and traditional like charcoal illustrations and stuff, and like it's just so nice to see that in a movie. I always just drool a little bit. I don't think anyone else does, but man do I love it.
Not as much as you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I will say the one biggest complaint that I have about this film is the first act, right? Like the first hour, there's a lot of characters to introduce. And, you know, really this movie is an ensemble film in a lot of ways, right? There's a lot of characters being introduced. And to pair with that, the first hour of this movie very much is like a period whodunit, right? As our two leads are trying to figure out, you know, what the root of the beast is, and if someone's controlling it, and all this stuff. And to me, some of the biggest problems with the pace of this movie lie in that first hour, because I think after the first hour, it really ramps up and goes sicko mode with it. And like that doesn't bother me, but the first hour is very, very talky, which feels at odds with the rest of the film, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your guys' feelings on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't know if I would say that it's necessarily. I mean, okay, yes. I think technically you're correct. It is at odds with what the film becomes. The film tonally changes quite a bit in the second half. But weirdly to me, it doesn't feel disparate. I don't know if it's just because they sprinkle in enough of like the martial arts stuff in that first half that it does sort of like remind you that there is like kind of a schlockiness to the movie. Now, to the rest of your point, I think it's fair. I wasn't like bored by it. Like I'm pretty engaged by this mystery that they're trying to solve, and just like, you know, how pretty the locations are and the outfits and all of that stuff. Like, it's very easy for me to get wrapped up in that and sort of vibe with it. But I do think that, yeah, it is slow. And like you mentioned, it is talky, and there are a lot of characters, and all the characters have very long French names and titles, and it is not immediately clear which characters you really need to like remember and pay attention to.
Yeah, and some of those old French white characters kind of start looking the same a little bit.
By the second half of the movie, you know, the important players have sort of like stepped out from the rest of the crowd. You know, like obviously our 100%. Protagonist, obviously Marianne is like the love interest, obviously Vincent Cassel, Jean-Francois, you know, and the weird sort of creepy priest character. Like these characters sort of eventually come to the fore, but I can see, I think that, like, yeah, you're not wrong that in like the first hour of this movie it can kind of feel like a lot in how much it's throwing at you for how little, like, I don't know, plot movement there is.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I would argue that it just takes a little too much time setting up the pieces on the board, right? Because once the pieces are moving, it's much more compelling. But like they take their time getting everything on there, which is my only real major problem with this film. Otherwise, I think it's fucking awesome, like you guys. So
yeah,
for me, I had less qualms with the rich dialogue, like during sequences where like it is just characters in an elaborate room having elaborate conversations. Like, I didn't mind those so much because I enjoyed the flowery conversations and the rest, and like all of the hunt men are the real wolves like metaphors and things. Like I thought was like, I didn't think it was like deep, but I did find it to be flowery and like in an engaging way. And so I had less problems with that. My problem was like, or I guess my sympathy, where like I agree with you, like about, or I understand how you would feel that way about the pacing, is coming into the second act, where I just kind of kept saying to the screen, that wasn't the resolution. That wasn't the resolution, because so many of these fight scenes don't culminate in resolutions. Like, the characters once again have to leave and go somewhere else, or taken somewhere, and another thing happens. And like, they're all scenes where like I was just expecting the villain to arrive and exposit, and like that to actually happen. So I felt less like the problem was like too much expositing, and more like we kept carrying on to the next set piece where expositing could have happened, you know, a couple scenes back. But seeing the culmination of all of it, I was kind of glad for it by the end. Though I will say there's a scene where de Fronsac calls out so many of these people, because, spoiler alert, all of these side people are involved in some capacity, right? Maybe not in a way that's essential to the plot, but they are involved in the plot. Literally in the plot. And de Fronsac appears from a window overlooking this scene, and he calls out all of these people. And it's just him doing this long list of French names, and I just started laughing. Like, it's just him doing another, ooh, bon ponder, mais oui, BTB, yo, and you, and it's just like, he goes on and on and on, and like, just doing like very elaborate French syllabics. And I just couldn't help but crack up. Like, though that set piece is amazing. We'll talk about that more later.
Well, and yeah, I think that is, again, the culmination of it, where like the plot stuff really clicks into place nicely, right? Because I think the script itself, like you said, isn't particularly the deepest or the most well written, I guess you could say, to be uncharitable. But it works more cohesively for me when there's a bunch of genre stuff thrown in there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you know, like, I will say, like, I don't think this script is bad.
No.
Like, I think that you could accuse it of being overstuffed. But I think it's ultimately, for how many characters it's juggling and everything, it's coherent. You can follow the plot, what's happening, and the characters have arcs. Like, the characters are given enough time to develop and feel a little bit, more fleshed out. None of them are super deep or anything, but like, I think that tonally it's very all over the place, and that might not necessarily like work for everybody, or certain parts might work better than others. But I do think that like it's not a bad script. I really don't think so.
I strongly agree. I think, especially for like an action adventure film slash romance slash film, like, no, the script is tight. It's solid. It's equally, and I'm sorry, this is going to sound like a contradiction, but like, it is a mess of a movie in that there are so many through lines, but they are all, it doesn't get tangled in its own red string. It never gets confused. Like, everything gets resolved and tethered by the end. Maybe resolved absurdly. I think of like Sylvia's character, for instance. That's insane. Or again, Monty, like, knowing fucking kung fu, like, fuck it, that doesn't have any like sense of like real resolve. But it doesn't matter. He's worldly, right? Like, they've had many travels all over since the Americas. Like, it maybe they did spend some time there training or something, like, to your false memory, ATs. Like,
yeah,
so,
I feel like I must have pulled that from somewhere.
To me, it works. Like the whole point of the movie is wonder, right? Like, we're supposed to be seeing new things and exploring this place, and this film teaches us to expect the unexpected in fun and adventuresome ways. And it's fantasy with, and though it's like it's technically like grounded in historic, and there's no like magic or craziness here, it's still like, it's historical fantasy, right? And it is a fantastic mythological film. And I think for all that, it works. It is, the plot line is kind of anime-esque, like, for sure. But and I would even allow convoluted, I think. But most importantly, to stop my rambling, it is not deep. This movie is not deep at all. But it is in service of the myth, right? Of telling a clean story, of telling something that is embellished, but not necessarily, and it is thematic, and it goes above and beyond its job, especially like the job of a martial arts film, to get us from one cool action set piece to the next. This movie is a complete and whole story. And so I find it very difficult to fault it, but no, it's not on the same level of, like, again, something like higher art, than this, or as rich. But it's good. It's a good story.
A critique I can make, at least in terms of the film's intent, where I think it fails, but this will ultimately come around to being a positive, because I think in its failure it succeeds at doing something else less intentionally. But what I'm getting at is, I do not really buy the romance between de Franzac and Marianne. I think the film doesn't really spend enough time developing that. Like, they've got some good scenes, like when she takes them to the ruins and, during that first hunt scene. Like, there's some stuff there. But I also just don't think the actors have great chemistry together. Like, I don't really feel their love, their attraction for each other. So I think that there is a failure there, a failure in execution for what the film's intent is. But where it succeeds unintentionally is because even though I don't believe that de Franzac loves Marianne, I do believe that he loves somebody else. I do believe that he loves Mani. I think that, I think that though the romance between de Franzac and Marianne doesn't work, I think that there is an extremely high degree of homoeroticism between him,
right?
Between him and Mani, and spoilers. When Mani dies, sort of at the beginning of the third act of the film, like de Franzac is more emotional about that. Like he experiences more grief and rage and fury than any sort of emotion that he expresses towards Marianne in the movie.
And like even the mechanism that allows him to still have love at the end of the movie, right, was given to him by Mani. Like it is like in a way like his own love for his best friend that allows him to like carry out his love for Marianne by proxy. That's so sick. I love that. This movie, it's really just a bisexual's dream. Like, there's just so much of everything in this movie. I again had just such an amazing time, and it makes it like so much more. It makes me feel so much more free to enjoy all of the like I hate the term like male gazy, but like again like all of the like the hetero like just titties are everywhere, man, and it's sick. Like enjoying all of that. Just I just feel more freed too because it's such a romantic movie for like everyone. Like there's like so much masculine love in the movie too, and it's just
and like a number of the male characters like spend good chunks of the movie shirtless too, and they're all like fucking like oiled up and glistening and shit. It's
everybody's
like,
got it out. Like Mani during like that scene in the whorehouse too, where like he's all like shirtless and tattooed, and like all the women gather at the door and shit, and then like he's a sorcerer, and then like he gestures down to imply like he's a sorcerer with his dick.
Yeah, he's a penis sorcerer.
Yeah, like awesome, dude. The movies are so cool.
I love the movies.
I love the movies, and like I'll also say too, like such a bold choice to have a classically romantic film with a blonde lead who is very heroic and moral, and he loves the countess, but she's got her family as sort of a stumbling path for him. And then along that journey, like for him to just have a side piece, like the whole film that he's just bawling out. It's just so unbelievably French and bold. Like it's crazy. I love that American audiences were cool with this. Because like I was really watching it thinking they wouldn't be like. And I could see like American executives feeling the same way about a film like this. Like what other movie does like a hero like just have like such a consistent side piece during like that? Like he just keeps going back to like this hooker while he's trying to romance the other one, and like it's never played as like him doing an evil act. Like they treat it like it's a normal and cool thing to do. Like he goes and balls her out, and then he goes and romances Marianne some more, and then he goes balls out Sylvia, and then like even like afterwards when Marianne finds out that he's been sleeping with Sylvia and she's upset about it, Sylvia comes to her and is like, "It's cool. He always loved you, though."
Yeah, he only ever loved one person, and it wasn't
me. That's what I loved.
So like he's completely vindicated.
The situation with that is like it's clear that the feelings he has for the two of them are different, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important for something like this, to keep it kind of clean and not as messy.
I will say, where it doesn't work for me in the same capacity, Tease, the same problem that you had. With Franzak and Marianne, not really, like, you never, like, really buying the chemistry. Like, there are a couple of moments where I did buy the chemistry, but just nowhere. Like I really like the flirty bit when they're on the horseback, and he's like, I've been falling in love, and she's like, ooh, with who? And he's like, oh, not with you, or whatever, and she runs off. I thought that was cute. I liked that chemistry between them there, but there isn't a whole lot. There's not enough, for sure.
Yeah.
And in addition, I think the problem beyond Monty is also Sylvia, in that not that, like, they're having sex throughout the whole movie, like, but more just that they have more, like, intimate moments. I don't mean having sex, I mean like intimate, like, conversations. And additionally, she compliments him so well, especially by the end, because at first she just seems to be like an Italian, like, card reader, and she is acting as a prostitute on her travels or whatever, right? Like, and she says that she's only going to be in the area for so long, that it's temporary. And it's later revealed that she, like, works for the fucking Vatican as, like, an adventurer, and, like, that she's also this cool adventurer, making her the perfect foil for Franzak. Right? Because, like, Franzak was sent by the king to investigate this whole circumstance and to be a cool adventurer guy, and she's the cool adventurer lady. And it's like, they should be together. Like, and there's even the moment at the end where they're, like, talking to each other, and she's like, you could come with me, but oh, the moment's passed. Goodbye forever. And, like, I'm just sitting there being like, why didn't he go with her? Like, they should have. They are made for each other too. And, like, I don't know, Marianne, like, she does some, like, horseback riding, and, like, she's a great, like, romantically written character. I like her character, but I don't see her as, like, a good foil, like, and romantically.
She is the least good pairing with de Franzak in the film. Like, yeah, between his boyfriend Monty and his mistress Sylvia, it's like he doesn't have room to love Marianne, even though the film tells us that he does love her more than anything. It's just like, yeah, I don't buy it. You love Mark Dacascos and Monica Bellucci.
And I mean, honestly, same. That's the biggest problem of all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so, there's, like Ben mentioned, the first half of the movie is a sort of whodunit. They're investigating, like, are these attacks just by a wolf? Is there something more to it? Is there, like, a human element behind it? What's going on here? And they basically discover that there is a sort of, like, apostate sect of the church headed up by the weird, creepy priest, who have sort of, like, manufactured this monster that is under their control, that they're using to send a message to the king that God is angry. That God is angry at the king for his sacrilegious ways or whatever. And sort of from that discovery, the movie becomes much more action-oriented.
Yep.
Once we have our villains revealed, and you just get one fucking action set piece after the other.
I just discovered something while we were talking that clicked things into place in a wonderful way. The action choreographer for this film is a guy by the name of Jackie Young. Jackie Young also did action choreography for a Golden Pod movie, The Cat. He also did the action choreography for John Woo's Hard Boiled.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the Golden Harvest connection is like, yeah, dude, like that. Wow.
There is one scene in this movie where I actually, this time where I watched it, I was like, man, this reminds me of Hard Boiled. And it's the sequence which, honestly, one of the most baffling sequences in the movie that I just deeply love is after Mani is killed by this cult. DeFranzac goes into a rage and decides that he's going to wreak bloody vengeance on these stupid hillbilly peasants who killed his beautiful Native American boyfriend. And so he literally becomes John Rambo, or as I joked at the beginning, Jean Rambeau, Beaux. But and like he literally like does like camouflage face paint. He lets his hair down and he sneaks into their base with a ginormous knife and just murders the shit out of like 30 dudes in the most fucking brutal, violent ways possible. And it reminded me so much of a lot of the hospital stuff in Hard Boiled. There's like the one part where like he comes up and he stabs a guy and then he steps back and he just kicks him through the wall like after he's stabbed him. It's like it's
he first puts his head through the wall and then he kicks him again, sending his whole body through it. Like there's that double hit.
Yeah.
Like it's really great impact.
Yeah, and that sequence like really does remind me a lot of Hard Boiled, so I'm not actually that surprised to discover that it's the same fight choreographer, although I am delighted to discover it.
Yeah, what a great fact.
Yeah, well, two Hong Kong guys were on the stunt team. So the stunt coordinator was Jackie Young, and then the fight choreographer was Philip Kwok, who did The Cat.
Oh, yeah,
he did Hard Boiled. He also did Rickie-O, Story of Ricky, which totally makes sense. Just incredible.
And like that whole sequence is just fucking wild, because he comes in with like a bow and arrow first too, also very Rambo, and he like sets the stable on fire, and like the guys are all running over to like put out the fire, and he just starts shooting flaming arrows into them. Like he hits the one dude like right between the eyes. It's fucking awesome, dude. It's so fucking fun. And it's like, we did kind of gloss over it, but the scene before that, like when Mani does die, where he like sneaks into their secret base and he's like wearing all of his like Native American war paint and stuff with his like cartoonishly huge tomahawk. That scene is fucking sick too. And like the scene before that where they're trying to trap the beast and they set up all of these like crazy like Vietnam or like Viet Cong like traps and stuff, like the swinging log with the spikes, like the cage that drops down.
That swinging log killed me so many goddamn times in that Bloodborne forest sequence. Like they literally like it is amazing to me, like at the same pace like those traps are popping up and were popping up in the film like sequentially to attack the creature. They pop up on that trail in Bloodborne. Like it's just I don't know, maybe that's just my memories a few years ago, but like it's just again beat for fucking.
No, you're right.
Like,
it's there. It's there for sure.
Yeah, like so much of this movie's DNA is against games.
You'd mentioned it earlier. I think we could talk a little bit about the beast design. I know you had wanted to touch on that because we're well into that part of the movie. They discover that like it is some kind of animal that is that is like wearing armor that humans have put on it, but it basically looks like a big like porcupine wolf with like big like metal chompers. But we learn at the end that it's just like that it's a lion that Vincent Cassel brought back from his time in Africa and raised and trained and abused to make it angry, and then they strapped all of these like spikes and like metal bits and stuff to it to make this like big mythical creature.
Yeah, it's such a great idea. Like you get to have so much of your cake and eat it too with this sort of epiphany. The film is always talking about myth, and Fransak mentions that he's a traveler, he's been all over the world, but he hasn't been to Africa yet, and he'd love to go to Africa. And Vincent Cassel's character mentions that he has, and that's where he lost his arm to a lion. And there's so much talk throughout the movie of how like men are like wolves, and there's so many themes there. I love that shot during the sequence where they're out just hunting like all of the packs of wolves, and how that scene resolves with that like insane depiction, like just filling the lower third of the screen with just like wolf corpses piled high. Like that shot is just really galling and powerful. There's so many good like practical like wolf dummies as well. And oh god, sorry, while I'm talking about it, I have to mention during that sequence when they're normally I would hate to watch it more like a scene of like guys just like hunting wolves and shooting them, but it's so cartoonishly done where like there's like a wolf pack in front, and they're riding at the all of the hired guys that they brought in across the land to kill these wolves have come through, and they're shooting the wolves from horseback. And every time they shoot a wolf, like they have like a dummy wolf that they like throw up into the air that spins around really fast. So like these wolves are like doing backflips whenever they're shot, and like it's the most insane thing. But the way that they shoot it, like you still can almost believe it. Like the bullet hit them just hard enough for them to spin that way. Like they kind of get away with it, but it's again, like we talked before, like with so many parts of this movie, like it's equally funny and badass that like you're laughing but also admiring like how well they did it. That I just love. But anyway, don't worry, that's the theme.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those are dummies. I think they were just tripping actual dogs. So I don't know how ethical it was, but it is cartoonish, that's for sure. They certainly do go spinning off into the trees.
Yeah, I was just charitably considering that. I hope that's the case, that they used
maybe it's a little column A, a little column B.
Again, they did have like Jim Henson, I guess, studios working on it.
That's true. Yeah.
So it can be hard to say, but yeah, I maybe I'll look up like again like Thursday, but I don't know, I'd still be kind of surprised. It's 2001, like France or otherwise, that like there would be much animal cruelty on set. So I don't know. But I'll just hope not. But sorry, I digressed significantly. All that to say is they reinforce the themes of like being in foreign lands and traveling and seeing creatures and beasts. And Fransak really wants to go to Africa. And right before he's about to go, he's called back again by Marianne. And
one last hunt.
He chooses not to go to Africa, but he still gets to hunt the lion. And like it is revealed that the like that creature, like you said, is a lion, and that Vincent Cassel's character, like when he or Jean-Francois, like he killed the lion, he defeated the lion and he brought it back, and it had pups, or a litter.
Yeah.
That pups. So that all like works pretty well, I think, thematically. And we get the mythology of it, right? Like where people are like wondering what the creature's going to be. But the whole film, I'm thinking like, are they going to do a man is the monster thing where it's just a guy by the end? And what's cool is they do that too, but they don't stop there. Yeah, is you get to have everything you could want. It's not mythological in the sense that like the wolf is like a super wolf or a wolf with wings or some kind of like fucked up creature. Instead, it's what I think is even cooler is it's a lion that has been, again, like reinforced with steel and has this whole like robot jaw mechanism, and it's fucking sick, dude. I don't know.
It's very video gamey. Yeah. Well, and I like how they
lion.
I think it's very goofy too how they try to like hide the Vincent Cassel reveal, because like it turns out that he's part of this plot too, and he's the one who like controls the beast. And it's like we see a couple of times when the beast shows up that there's like a mysterious figure who's wearing like a mask, and we see that they have like a weird fucked up hand with like long nails and stuff on it. And they like control the creature by like blowing a whistle and stuff. And the weird fucked up hand is like the arm that Vincent Cassel is missing. So like later he reveals to Marianne like that he has only been pretending for years to only have one arm for some reason. I don't know why he can't. What benefit does pretending to not have an arm? But he has like an elaborate like corset apparatus where he's like tucks his arm behind him and like laces it up inside like the corset. But yeah, like the one arm is like all scarred and it's got like these long black fingers. He's got like a monster hand. That's very funny.
So I guess like it's hidden because like it's almost worse because it's all scarred up and down it and it's all like nasty from it was like he's like mauled by a lion. So like it's flimsy logic, but it's okay, it's a movie. It's all I really need is that like he's hidden his arm because it's so vile and like gross looking that it's better to just pretend he doesn't have an arm at all.
But he could hide it, and still have it be functional. Like, he could wear a glove or something, you know, and like a long sleeve that he would still have an arm, other than intentionally handicapping himself for some reason.
Well, yeah, the other fucked up reason is he's handicapped himself so his sister will dote on him more.
Right, yeah, no, that is true, yeah, so his sister will take care of him.
Yeah. And I do love how he shows it in that scene, too. It's like the creepiest shit in the world, where he's just like, oh, is it my arm that's bothering you? Oh, it's okay. Or my lack of an arm. Here's what it's actually like. Isn't this better? And he shows that it's the ghoul arm, and he's like he's just really hamming it up in that scene, and he's so fucking creepy. Like,
well, you know, there's a lot of other like rabbit holes that we could go down, but I think it's time to get to the climax. We've set up all of the pieces, so the film culminates in a gathering of this secret society, the Brotherhood of the Wolf, out at the ruins where Marianne took them earlier in the movie. And they're doing their whole, you know, it's a fucking eyes wide shut kind of thing. They're all out there in their robes and their masks. They're doing secret chants and stuff. And DeFranzac has, we thought that he was dead. That we thought that Sylvia poisoned him. But it turns out she only gave him a drug to make it seem like he was dead, and then she dug him back up so he could...
the twists and turns.
The twists and turns. It's very silly. But yeah, he then shows up at this gathering, and like you mentioned earlier, this is the scene where he leans out the window and he's pointing, and all of these characters that we've seen throughout the movie, and they take off their masks. It's like, oh, it's that person, it's that person, so on and so forth. And then last, he points at Vincent Cassel and names him, and then he fucking... Oh, dude. This shit was so funny. He does a front flip down from the window, lands on the altar, crouched, and then he holds up his arms, and he's got two daggers, and they spin in circles around his hands like a little helicopter. And it's like...
He also dodges a gunshot while he's flipping. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. Like they get it all in that sequence.
Oh man, we didn't even mention the scene earlier before they go out and hunt the beast, where he's like practicing, like target practice on all of the pumpkins and stuff.
Ben referenced,
he's doing
the crossed arms.
Yeah, and he's doing all the trick shots, and then at one point, he does a crossover for some reason with the guns.
It's cool, yeah,
because it's cool. Yeah, but yeah, so then the movie culminates in a Mortal Kombat fight.
Yeah, it culminates in a literal fighting game scene.
Yes,
like the two are having a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat sort of situation here.
Well, what it really is it's fucking Soul Calibur, because Christoph Ganz is even on record in saying that Vincent Cassel's weird bone whip sword that he has is direct Ivy. is it's just Ivy from Soul Calibur. Like he doesn't even like It's so
gave him
fucking.
Ivy's sword.
He just gave him Ivy's sword. Yeah, for it's just like
they should have dressed him like Ivy. That'd have been wild.
They should have. Yeah, it's such a just insane final set piece for where just where you think the movie is going when it starts and then where it ends up. Just like the first time I watched this, like in that entire last fight scene, my jaw was just on the floor. I'm just like, what is happening here?
Cool shit.
Yeah, fucking nothing but baller swag.
And again, trick weapons. That's what Bloodborne's all about. Like, everyone's got one. Yeah,
there's the fucking cane whip weapon in Bloodborne too.
My bread and butter.
Yeah, that scene that whole sequence is very cool. I love the fight scene. It's Bronzak and Cell.
It's just on like just an absolutely gorgeous set. The it's like an abandoned, like ruined cathedral. Like there's no vaulted ceiling anymore. All that's gone. It's just going up into the night sky, and it's covered in ivy, and it's all torch lit, and there's like dancing leaves like around, and it's several stories high in the walls, that just go up into the stars. Like, oh man, it looks so good. It's gorgeous.
It's a fighting game arena.
It's a boss arena. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like again, it looks like a lot of the boss arenas in the FromSoft games. Like it's excellent. But yeah, like he is just outright using like Ivy's sword, and it's a chain whip. It makes no sense. A sword like that would just be a great way to rip your own arm off. Like,
well,
maybe that's actually how his arm got so fucked up, as he was practicing with his dumb sword.
Well, I mean, it does end up being his undoing, right? Because that's what allows Defranzak to get the final blow in on him, is because he's got him like tied up in his chain whip, and he's like flipping him around. And on one of those flips, when he comes across Defranzak, he's able to just like swipe across his throat with his blade. It's like, dude, if you weren't fucking clowning around with this immensely impractical, flashy-ass weapon, then you wouldn't have got your fucking throat slit, probably. But, as the French say, c'est la vie. C'est l'amour.
C'est l'amour.
Yeah, and then, the movie ends with Defranzak and Marianne sailing off to Africa on a new adventure on a ship named Brother Wolf.
Because even though the cult was the Brotherhood of the Wolf, his relationship with Mani was his wolf brother.
Yeah.
They were the real Brotherhood of the Wolf the whole time. They were the real wolves.
There's the whole scene too earlier on where like all of the like French nobles are kind of like mocking Mani, asking him to like tell them what their totem animal is and stuff, and he's playing along. I don't think they ever say it, but like it's pretty strongly implied that like Mani's totem animal is the wolf, right? Like he has
they show it.
He clearly has the connection with the wolves in the movie prior to this, and he's obviously very distressed by sort of like the wholesale slaughter of the wolves that they're doing in their hunt for the beast. So yeah, even though the evil cult is the Brotherhood of the Wolf, man is the real monster, and the wolves are our true brothers, And Mani is Defranzak's wolf brother and wolf boyfriend.
And it's silly, but I agree with it. I agree with all of it. Spiritually, I have nothing against this film either.
No.
That's another reason, too, why I would be kind of surprised if there was animal cruelty in this film, because, like, the whole, like, moral of this movie is condemning animal cruelty.
Who knows? It's Hollywood. It's still... Well, no, it's not Hollywood. It's French Hollywood. Yeah. Whatever French Hollywood, yeah.
Baguette wood.
Baguette wood. Yeah, there it is. Baguette wood.
Ooh, no. It's ooh la lolly wood.
There it is.
We got there.
My man's cooking. Any other points y'all want to hit in this movie? I mean,
I don't think I'm gonna top Ooh La Lollywood. I think I'm good.
Ooh La Lollywood. Yeah. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour movie, and got too into the weeds with plot. There's plenty of other stuff to to be gleaned from this movie. So I think it's definitely worth seeking out. But yeah, I will start with my rating since this was my pick. Yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think it's really something special. Like it is messy and it is kind of rough in places, but I do think that this is like a true hidden gem that I definitely think more people should seek out and enjoy, and just, you know, sit down with it, be willing to meet it on its own level, like let it take you along at its speed, and I promise that by the end of it you'll be glad you did. Strong 4 out of 5 for me for Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Hell yeah. Yeah, this is a movie, like I said before, that won me over hard by the end. I do still think there's some pacing issues with the first hour being a bit of a slog, but you know, with that last hour and a half, it is so zany that you can't help but root for it. It is, you know, a little overstuffed, I would argue, at times, throwing all these elements in there. But I don't mind when it's so much fun. I love the fight choreography. I love how off the rails it feels like it's getting at times. I love the zaniness. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I would still recommend it.
Oh yeah, respectable.
I gave it a 3.5 my first time as well. It was a second viewing that bumped it up to 4 for me. So I think that's totally fair.
I've got half of mine. I just watched it again tonight. I adore this movie. I loved it. I felt like no movie is perfect, and this movie is near perfect for me. I think it would be insane to give this movie a 5. I'm not going to. I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's incredible, but it's not trying to be like the greatest work of all time. It's trying to be like a really wonderful, mythological, and fun story. And so for that, I think a 4.5 is still very high. I think a 4 is reasonable. I think a 3.5 is very reasonable. A 3 is reasonable, but I'm gonna be like Christoph Ganz and just be a little insane, and I'm gonna give it a 4.5. Like,
you know, I think that's totally fair. I raised my rating a little bit on a second viewing. I think that with time, this movie could become a 5 in my heart. It's not there yet, but all the ingredients are there. So that'll give Brotherhood of the Wolf a strong average of 4 out of 5. And yeah, I do definitely recommend it for folks. If you can, like, see if you can track down this 4K rescan and do the original French. Everything on streaming right now is the English dub. I mean, if that's the only way you can see it, go for it. But I can't speak to the quality of the dub. And I think that if you do the dub, then you miss out on stuff like, you know, Vincent Cassel's fucking venomous delivery. So I don't know. Find the good version if you can, but otherwise, it's worth checking out regardless. Next week we're moving on to Cleveland's pick. Cleve, do you want to tell us what we're going to be watching next week?
Yes, I do. And I do all just want to say that, like, my final thought on the film too is that at the very least inspired me to keep making art and to be a little bit less afraid of what I make, and just to have that kind of confidence that Gantz does. I can only admire it. So I just want to double check. I don't think you guys covered this on an episode without me. I want to continue locking in Cronenberg picks. I was looking at the list of films that we haven't covered.
Running out.
We're running low, but so I figured let's start bringing it in. So I would like to cover The Dead Zone.
We've not covered that yet.
Good.
Hell yeah. The Dead Zone is great.
I wasn't sure about it, like not knowing anything about it other than the title, but then I did see that it stars Christopher Walken, and I was like, that's it, baby.
Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen. It's an adaptation of a Stephen King book. Yeah. The Dead Zone. Honestly, I feel like the Dead Zone is a little bit underrated in Cronenberg's oeuvre. That'll be a fun. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I'm always down for a Cronenberg. So next week we'll be venturing into the dead zone. Yeah, until then, if you like the show and you want to support us, leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you're listening. And also, maybe consider joining the Patreon at patreon.com/podpeoplepod. I'm staring down the barrel of a major vehicle repair, and I need money. So if you're ever thinking that, like, you know, you're thinking about joining the Patreon, but you're not sure, now would be a good time to do it. So money me, please.
We have a lot of fun in there. We have a lot of fun in our Discord.
We do, yeah. If you give us $5 a month, you get access to Discord, and you can come talk shit and hang out with us. And Ben hosts weekly movie nights, double features.
I mean, as of the time we're recording, this next week will be another Christoph Ganz movie, his adaptation of the manga Crying Freeman, as well as the Hong Kong adaptation of Crying Freeman as well from 1990. So it'll be fun to see two different versions of the same material.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Crying Freeman is Christoph Ganz' first movie, what he did before Brotherhood of the Wolf. So I'm definitely curious to check that out. But yeah, for $5 a month, you can come hang out with us in the Discord and come watch fun movies with us. It's a good time. So, of course, shout out to our lovely honorary pod boys, Sam, Zach, Micah, and Mitchell. Y'all are the real Brotherhood of the Wolf. Awoo. And, of course, last but not least, you can follow us on Letterboxd at Pod People Podcast, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. My recommendation for this week... hopefully I'm not stealing yours, Ben, but we did go and see Eddington this morning, the new Ari Aster film, and hoo boy, it was fantastic. Our lovely Ari has done it once again. He is tapped in to the sacred fountain of derangement of the United States of America, and sort of how COVID took that and cranked the knob up so hard it just snapped off. Really, really fun movie.
Yeah,
go see on the big screen.
I'll keep it brief on my Eddington thoughts, but it's really wonderful how Ari Aster has kind of shifted from an elite contemporary horror filmmaker to an elite contemporary comedy filmmaker. Like, even in his horror films, that was there, but now he is straight up making comedies, and they rule. Beau is Afraid is the best movie of the year it came out, in my opinion, and Eddington is a strong contender for best movie of this year. Just excellent stuff. Shit. Well, yeah, that was going to be my recommendation. So let me
recommend it again.
Yeah, I have one. Mark Dacascos. He also did another movie in the 90s called Drive that I love. It's not the Winding Rain movie. It's in the 90s, but it has him and Karen Hardison, and it's like a buddy action martial arts sci-fi sort of movie. It's very fun. There's a small performance from Brittany Murphy that's really good. Tons of awesome Hong Kong style stunts, explosions. Very fun action movie. Very underrated.
Nice. The relation joke reminded me that there is a character in this who's played by actor Jeremy Renier.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
And I wanted to make like a French snowmobile accident joke, but I couldn't quite figure out like how to land it. But yeah, I did. That did cross my mind.
One thing I forgot about Drive is it's directed by Steve Wang, who we have covered both of his other big movies, The Guyver and The Guyver Dark Hero.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I love those movies.
Yes.
For rewatch. Love Guyver. Yeah, fucking what is it they say? It's bio busted or something. I don't know, it's cool. I forget. I'm bio busted. Anyway, my recommendation is gonna be Bloodborne. I've been recommending it all episode. Go play Bloodborne if you haven't. It's a masterpiece.
Hell yeah, there's never a bad time There's never a bad time to play Bloodborne.
Yeah, and
All
if you
right.
don't play video games, go look up like just some footage of it. Like I think that there are some really good comps out there.
Yeah, watch a Let's Play of Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Why not? All right, folks. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed Howling at the Moon with us. And yeah, and we hope that you'll join us again next week to enter the Dead Zone. Until then, stay furry.